Today I'll be presenting to you on how to achieve your goals when communicating negative news. Delivering bad news is not the happiest communications that you may have in any other day at work. But it can be gratifying if you do it effectively. As a business communicator working with bad news, you may have goals. Here are some goals for communicating bad news. Be clear and concise to avoid being asked for additional clarifications. Help the receiver to understand and accept the news. Reduce anxiety associated with the bad news as much as possible by expressing sympathy and empathy. Maintain trust and respect between you and your audience to ensure the possibility of good future relationships. Delivering the bad news in a timely fashion is appropriate. Avoid the legal liability that comes with admitting negligence or guilt. Achieve the designated business outcome. Let's look at how an example of bad news would play out in a job. Let's say you're a supervisor and your manager has put you in tasks to getting an employee that is usually always late for work and has been arriving late recently to start arriving on time. The tardiness of that coworker is impairing not only you but also the performance of the entire team that depends on his work. You figure there are 4 ways you can handle this. 1, you stop by the cubicle of said employee and simply say, get out, get to work on time, or you're out. 2, you can invite. 3, write Chris a stern email. 4, ask Chris to come to your office and discuss the behavior with him in private. Let's see how each alternative in delivering the bad news would play out. First, if you approach Chris with a warning at his desk, you can get right to the point. But the risk of straining the supervisor-employee relationship by putting him in his place in front of everyone, the aggressive approach might prompt Chris to demand clarification and make defensive excuses or throw hostile counter-offenses right back, none of which are desired outcomes. For that matter, the disrespectful approach does not formally confirm that tardiness will end. Let's say you invite the employee to lunch. He sees the fine time that he will have, the luxurious empathy, and the environment might just say, good job. But your serious talk will contradict the nonverbal signage, which will probably be an obstacle to Chris, to the employee's ability to listen. And if the employee does not understand and accept the message requiring him to seek clarification, your approach has failed. Furthermore, the ambush fails to build trust, so you don't know whether Chris is going to make an extra effort to arrive early or just put in the time. They're doing the bare minimum while looking for another job. Let's say instead that you're writing Chris a stern email, you include a list of all the recent dates when you have when he was late and made several statements about the quality of his work. He clearly needs to improve and stop being late or else. But was the email harassment? Could it be considered beyond the scope of supervision and interpretation? How well or poorly the conversation goes, if Chris tells other employees about it, they will take note on how well you handle the situation, and it will contribute to their perception of you. It guides the expectations of how you operate and how to communicate with you, as the interaction is not only about you but also about the employee. You represent the company and its reputation, and your professional display of concern as you try to learn more. Send a positive message. While the private, respectful meeting may not be the perfect solution, it is preferable to the other approaches. It is preferable from the other approaches considered before. One additional point to consider as you document the interaction is the need to present the warning in writing. You may not elect to prepare a memo. You may elect to prepare a memo that outlines information concerning the performance and the tardiness, and have it ready should you want to present it. If the session goes well and you have the discretion to make a judgment call, you may elect to give him another week to resolve the issue. If it goes well, you may want to present the memo as it documents the interaction and serves as evidence of due process. Should Chris' behavior fail to change, eventually resulting in a need of termination, the combined approach of a verbal and written message is increasingly the norm of business communication. Thank you and good night.